Today, Russia's largest air attack of the war sets fire to Ukraine's main government building. Japan's prime minister resigns. Trump's plan to reinterpret a missile treaty to sell heavy attack drones abroad. How immigrants in the US are avoiding places of worship, fearing ICE detention. World number one, Aryna Sabalenka, retains her US Open crown, and Jim Jarmusch wins the Venice Film Festival's top prize. It's Sunday, September 7th. This is Reuters World News, bringing you everything you need to know from the front lines in 10 minutes, 7 days a week. I'm Tara Oakes in Liverpool. Explosions in Kyiv, where an overnight Russian attack set fire to Ukraine's main government building. The attack saw drones rain down before missile strikes, sowing fires across the capital. Moscow did not immediately offer comment. World number one Aryna Sabalenka has been crowned Queen of Queens, retaining her US Open crown with a win over American 8th seed Amanda Anisimova. And Donald Trump will become the first sitting president to attend the US Open in a quarter century later today, joining the legions of fans in New York to catch a highly anticipated showdown between Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba saying he's decided to resign. Since he came to power less than a year ago, his coalition has lost its majorities in elections for both houses of parliament, amid voter anger over rising living costs. The Israeli military has warned Palestinians in Gaza City to leave for the south, before bombing a high-rise tower as its forces advance deeper into the enclave's largest urban area. Amina Fifi is a displaced man who was living inside the high-rise building. Searching through the rubble, he says he's moved about 15 times with little notice. Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, says Gaza City is a Hamas stronghold and capturing it is necessary to defeat the Palestinian Islamist militants whose October 2023 attack on Israel sparked the war. President Trump is pushing to rewrite a decades-old arms treaty. If successful, it would clear the way for the US to sell powerful military drones like the Reaper series. US allies in the Pacific and Europe have expressed an interest, as has Saudi Arabia. Mike Stone covers the US arms trade and defense industry.
The Missile Technology Control Regime is a 1987 treaty that was signed by almost 24 countries. It was supposed to prevent people from giving long-range nuclear technology to each other. Smart idea. Well, they invented the drone. Guess what? The definition of what was a nuclear weapon, a 500-kilogram warhead, turned out to be big enough to be a plane. You make a big enough drone, it's 500 kilograms. It can go over 300 kilometers. And that was the definition of the missiles in the Missile Technology Control Regime. So inadvertently, drones were captured in the large net of this definition. When this reinterpretation is unveiled, it will no longer define large armed drones as missiles. It will define them as aircraft, and it will be subject to the clearances of foreign military sale.
Protesters in downtown Chicago demonstrating against President Trump's plans to deploy federal troops to the city. And as with elsewhere across the US, in Chicago, immigrants are staying away from churches they used to frequent, saying Trump's immigration sweep has them worried about being detained. Trump won the presidency for a second time after making aggressive immigration and border policies central to his political agenda. On his first day in office, he scrapped former President Joe Biden's policy of designating places of worship as sensitive locations, off limits to immigration enforcement. While Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, agents have yet to raid a church, they have detained a pastor in Maryland for allegedly overstaying his visa and arrested people in church parking lots. Nathan Lane has been reporting on the story.
We spent this past Sunday with Doris Aguirre at her home on the outskirts of Chicago. On normal circumstances, she would be physically at Lincoln United Methodist Church on Chicago's west side, but that church service has gone virtual. It's completely online, and the church did that because they were concerned about ICE raids. They did that in anticipation of Trump's crackdown on immigration, and Doris has been participating in church from her home.
Nathan says churches have taken a variety of steps to shield immigrants during the crackdown.
They have marked parts of the structures, the actual physical buildings of churches, as private to make it a little bit more difficult for ICE to go inside. They have stepped up Know Your Rights training, and some churches have gone online. Attendance has been falling at some churches, the immigrant-focused churches, because a lot of the parishioners are just essentially afraid to go to any place that could be a target of ICE. And so if they don't have to leave the home, they won't leave the home.
A 15-year-old who died of leukemia in 2006 is becoming the first Catholic saint of the millennial generation. Carlos Acutis learned computer code to build websites to spread his faith. Sunday's ceremony was postponed after the death of Pope Francis. It'll be the first time Pope Leo has presided over such an event. And staying in Italy, US indie director Jim Jarmusch has won the coveted Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival with Father, Mother, Sister, Brother, a 3-part meditation on the uneasy ties between parents and their adult children.
They're not supported by corporate studios, really. It's just our own love of cinema. So to be appreciated in this way is really very overwhelming for me.
Although his gentle comedy received largely positive reviews, it had not been a favourite for the top prize, with many critics instead tipping The Voice of Hind Rajab, a harrowing account of the killing of a Palestinian girl during the Gaza war. In the end, that took the runner-up Silver Lion. And even though Venice is over, the film festival season is in full swing, with the 50th Toronto International Film Festival underway. This year, the emotional centrepiece of the festival is a new documentary about Canadian comedy legend John Candy.
Who are you?
I'm a Mog. Half man, half dog. Gus Polinski, Polka King of the Midwest. Del Griffith, Director of Sales, Shower Curtain Ring Division.
John Candy, I Like Me, dives into the life of Canada's beloved comedy legend, going beyond the laughs to explore the personal struggles he faced off-screen. We caught up with our reporter Nivedita Balu in Toronto.
Some big names that moviegoers are really excited about in Toronto this year includes the third film in the Knives Out series, which stars Daniel Craig. And there's also Matthew McConaughey's Lost Buzz and Aziz Ansari's directorial debut, Good Fortune, which stars Keanu Reeves. But there are also films showing a part of the world that this side of the globe has never seen. It's a raw version of what's happening in the Middle East. Palestine 36 transports the viewer to 1930s Palestine, and there are also a couple of others, The Road Between Us. It's a documentary about one man's quest to save his family from the Hamas attack on October 17, 2023. The TIFF ran into criticism early on when it decided to exclude the documentary, but later reversed its decision, saying it had worked to satisfy legal and safety concerns.
And for today's recommended read, the latest part of our Culture Current series. We talked to the Middle East's first and only female brewmaster in the West Bank about the evolution of beer making and Israeli settler violence in the region. You can read more by following the link in the pod description. For more on any of the stories from today, check out Reuters.com or the Reuters app. Don't forget to follow us on your favourite podcast player. And if you're listening on a smart speaker, just ask for the latest news from Reuters, 7 days a week. We'll be back tomorrow with our daily headline show.